All right, guys, welcome back. We are watching Sousou no Frieren, Season 1, Episode 7. Last time, we defeated the dragon, and it feels like our journey has truly started now, you know? We are really, truly retracing Himmel's footsteps. We have our party pretty much all together, it seems like, right? I mean, it's these three in the opening. Who knows? He might have more. Might have more members join later, but for now, seems like we got our new squad, so... I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to see where our journey's going to lead us. I don't know what else to say other than that. So, we got a grimoire right here. So, let's go. We're watching episode 7. You can line you and copy up with this if you want to. We are starting in 3, 2, 1. Exactly. Okay. You would know, right? Sure. She must really have some connection to Flom then, right? I mean, she knows it does. I mean, obviously she has a connection to Flom, right? But I mean, like, you know. Hmm. But like to have this you know, habits of trying to collect these grimoires for so long. Yeah, speaking of her in this way, you know, it's interesting that that was what did she say, 1,000 years ago or something, and she still is this attached to her. You know, despite her attitude towards like Himmel and everyone later. You know. Oh, the apocalypse has to be coming. Holy shit. Of course. Come on, Stark, do your best. There we go. Perfect. No, we need positive reinforcement. Come on. It's interesting she was dreaming about that, though. At least that's kind of the implication I got there, right? Huh. What do I think? Like, I get the feeling that obviously I get the feeling that Flom knew a lot about Frieren. Um, you know, based off that one line, her saying that she knew Frieren would come there one day, and you know, the book was already open to the page where she, you know, to go to heaven, right, to go to Oriol, the land where souls rest. Hmm. So it feels like there's all. It's almost like Frieren. There's still answers from Flom that she wished she had gotten, you know. And at this point, it's like she's realized now how maybe how important some things Flom was telling her were, right? I don't know. I don't know. Like that shot there, her pointing up at the star, right? I don't know. That ring, man, that ring. It was in episode 1 too. We haven't seen it again since then, have we? Does Frieren have it on? I don't even know. I haven't been paying attention to that. Even though you're not here. And there she is. I love that shot at the end of the opening. Her being like formed of the two images of her two companion parties, like a fairy tale. Ooh. 28 years after the death of Himmel the Hero on Ang Road, located in the Northern Lands. We're already to the Northern Lands, huh? Why is Stark even bothering to do anything? Honestly. Of course it is. Come on. That's not a good answer. You should say we're helping people. Exactly. Right. Sure. You. It's like you're leaving a mark on the world, just like Himmel did, right? Yeah. You're just doing this for the reward. Come on. How many tiny old people are we gonna be helping? Did this guy know Frieren too? Hmm. Fighting demons here and there, huh? Interesting. Interesting. I wonder what Stark, like, I wonder if after the dragon debacle, what Stark, what his, like, attitude would be in a battle now, you know? I don't know. Yeah, it is kind of weird calling him Stark-sama. I guess that's just what she's called everyone, right? Heiter, Frieren. Perfect. Much better. Much better. There we go. Perfect. No, you get Stark-sama or you get that attitude. Come on. Whoa, come on. Oh, that's great. That's a good shot of her head. We're back to Stark-sama. All right. I guess that's better. Sounds good. Sure. Haven't lived many years compared to her. Ooh, interesting. I wonder if similar to their long ages, if, they don't repopulate very much, you know? Because, you would assume with such a long lifespan. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, maybe, yeah, I was gonna say, maybe they literally are on the verge of extinction, right? More than 400 years ago. I wonder who that was. Oh, ooh. What is that a shot of? Huh. Here we are. Lots of guards here. Seems like they're checking the people coming in. The Liberation Festival. Ooh. Of course, of course. Wonder if that was even before this guy's time, right? So of course he wouldn't recognize Frieren. I mean, it would have been over 80 years ago, right? Oh, they have statues, and he still doesn't recognize Frieren. I guess, right? It would be so crazy to think it's her. Well, their lives are shorter, right? They make more of the time they have. Sure, right. Yeah, yeah. If you don't have a tradition like that, then absolutely. Hmm. It's interesting that Himmel is the center of it, that Himmel was seen as the leader, right? As the main dude. Something to leave behind, right? After he's gone. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, of course, naturally. Ooh. Oh God, don't say that. Come on. Ooh. Oh God, that's so sad. Wait, right? Like the idea that one day for Frieren, they won't seem real anymore when they've been gone for too long, you know? Like Flom herself, probably, right? Yeah, I mean, and they made that comparison earlier too. It's just a coincidence. Hard to say. Okay, sure, sure. There's no way to know though, right? Ooh, 1,000. It's a long time. Not many traditions that we had in our world from 1,000 years ago feel like they survived, right? I mean, but who knows in a village like that if it's still around? Hard to say. We're going to end, buddy. Aureole, the land where souls rest. Tengoku, absolutely. 28 years after the death of Himmel the Hero, in Graf Granite's domain, located in the northern lands. It looks like a very big domain. This one looks even more like it's prepared for war. It had like the crazy shit around it and the Yeah, a bunch of knights walking around and stuff. I guess this is, I mean, this is what we were warned about, right? Yeah. Hmm. Oh, see something? Oh, what is going on? Oh, demons. Great. Oh, or those are demons. Okay. They just look like people to me. Okay, Frieren, what are we doing? Okay, I guess. Okay, sure. Wow. Interesting. Okay, are they here to like negotiate or something? Frieren doesn't seem to think there's much of a point, huh? Peace envoys. Huh. Okay, sure. Huh. Frieren's immediate instinct being to attack. Ooh. Is there bloodlust in your eyes as well, though? I don't know. Interesting. You sound scary. I'm willing to give you a chance. Wild beasts who imitate human speech. Okay, I don't know. Is she right about that? Is she wrong about that? I have no idea. Okay, bye, Frieren. See ya. No, this is very interesting. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, bye. I mean, we'll break you out, I'm sure. Like, come on. Or she'll just break herself out. Oh, that's not good. Hmm. They could keep her down here forever. Man. Oh, they did let him come in and see her. Okay. Hmm. Whoa, whoa. Okay. Frieren, girl. Come on. Hmm. Can't you break out? Come on. Yeah. And Aura the Guillotine. Okay. One of the seven sages of destruction who served the Demon King. Okay, right. Oh. Oh, right when Himmel died. Okay. Oh, and they're sending in a peace envoy. Okay. Hmm. Or, I mean, is it a real peace envoy? Is it, if they're demons, like let's say they're somehow just, you know, their nature is to be evil, then is that possible? Yeah, sure. Hmm. Interesting. I mean, I'm not hesitant to take her inside on this because she knows more about this than we do, right? But I just wonder if it's true that demons are like that, and that there's really that there's no exception to this, right? That it's impossible. Oh, he doesn't want to do it either, right? Ooh, that would be something to say to prevent people from killing you, right? Yeah, it's almost like it's like the ghosts in the woods, right? If it's true that they really have no emotions. Oh, oh, if they don't, that's very interesting. Oh God. Oh. Hmm. I mean, I'm assuming this isn't going to end well, because this is the story This is the story Frieren is thinking about when thinking about how demons are irredeemable, essentially, right? What's he gonna say? Okay, well, capable of communicating. Sure, all right. It goes so against my like I feel like just my instincts on this, the idea that it would be impossible for a demon to, you know. But I guess being capable of speech doesn't, that it's like you would want to say that that means it's has a soul, whatever that even means, right? But like I don't know, like Chat GPT is capable of speech in a sense, right? But Chat GPT isn't a person, you know what I mean? It's not something that can actually empathize with you, right? Demons, I don't. Oh shit. Oh, did it really? Oh, okay. Really? It's just And it didn't even eat him. It just killed him? Okay. 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 No, like, the fact that this demon has the desire to do this shows. Well, I don't know. What does it show, right? Because if it was just evil, it wouldn't want to, it would have killed this daughter, it would have killed his daughter too, right? It wouldn't have wanted to give the child to her. It just doesn't understand. I guess I don't know I don't know what pronouns to use. Himmel just kills. Oh, okay. She's not dead. Man. I mean, or what? Was that just a goal of further manipulation or something? Oh, man. Okay. Interesting. Solitary creatures by nature. Who does that remind you of, right? Who does that remind you of? Hmm. Ah. Oh, God, how terrifying is that? But, like, what are they? Huh. Okay. No, it's so hard to swallow the idea that they're just evil, you know? Okay, sure. No, it really seems like the ghosts that we found in the woods, right? Or the creature using the magic to like speak to you. It's like the same idea, right? Oh God, I don't know. That's very interesting. Hmm. He doesn't know it's Frieren. Okay. Oh, maybe he does. Okay, he's owning it. All right, he's owning it, huh? Okay. Sure. Interesting. I can't decide what I think about that. Hmm. This town won't be around much longer, huh? No, that's so interesting, right? This what was his name? Lugner, something like that, right? Um, him owning it like that is very interesting. I feel like there's still some wiggle room here. I don't know. I don't know. Ooh, okay. Dead, I would assume. Ooh, look at the cracks in the blade. Ooh. Oh, man. Okay, that's what we were not negotiating with them, evidently. Okay. Sure. Oh, I don't know if this is gonna go well, though. Maybe this town is not destined to last very long, huh? What is he gonna do? He's looking around. Okay, what? Are you sure? Oh, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have, right, of course. Hmm. But, I mean, according to what Frieren just said, hmm. Sure. No, this is so interesting, right? Because if he's just evil and just manipulating him, right? Because here's the thing, right? Where is the intrigue and what is the interest in villains that are truly just evil and have nothing more to them, right? So there has to be more to this than truly that they are irredeemable and individual ones probably can be. These two, sure, I believe it, right? Or these three, perhaps, right? Like, I certainly don't think good of their intentions, right? Lugnard owned it and said, yeah, I sure am evil. That doesn't mean all of them are inherently evil forever, right? Oh, who knows? Man. Hmm. No, but it's interesting, right? They have relationships with each other, right? These demons do. Like, she just asked him a question, you know? If communication was truly impossible, yeah, sure, right. I will talk about it in the discussion. Oh, God. Hmm. Drat. The other one. Oh, off to eliminate the obstacle. Is that Frieren or is that Fern and Stark? That is Frieren. Okay, all right, okay, right, sure. No, that's good. Awesome. All right, okay. He's a demon, is who he is. Yeah, I'm here to kill you. One of Aura the Guillotine's executioners. Perfect, right. No, they're still gonna keep pretending, but they're gonna kill you. Yeah, yeah. Sure. Okay, all right, all right. I think you're gonna fail on that first one. I would believe so. Ooh, stronger than Aura the Guillotine. Okay, and that's the end. That was a very interesting episode. This idea of the demons, man, it's huh. I don't know what to think about it, right? Very interesting. Hmm. I certainly believe that these demons are evil, right? That these ones are. But I think it would go against a lot of stuff that has already been presented by this show if we say that it is impossible for them to change, right? That it is truly, that doesn't mean that we should, make peace with them right now and try and, but I just mean the idea that by their nature, every demon is automatically evil. Um, I don't know if that's possible, right? I don't know if that's possible, like in the story. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's gonna be the way it's gonna go at all, right? Because I mean, where would the interest in that be, right? They were just fighting enemies that are truly irredeemable, and there's nothing more to them, right? That wouldn't make any sense, right? And we've already gotten hints of that's not that Friren's current conception of what demons are and how they work. Um, I don't think it's fully accurate, right? I don't think it can be completely correct. Okay, well, we will talk about it in the discussion. Alrighty, let's talk about the episode. This was a really good episode. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, I feel like. I don't know. So immediately we start off here with yet again The Grimoires by Flom, the legendary mage. And this is something I hadn't really thought about that much until now, but it is just interesting to think about, right? Is Frieren's attachment to Flom, right? Like, it's interesting that Flom has been gone for so long, like over 1,000 years, it seems like, right? And Frieren is so attached to her still in this way, right? That despite what seems like Frieren's attitudes towards relationships with other people only changing like recently, right? Or her, that whole ordeal with Himmel and his party, that only happening so recently, right? She still has this deep connection to Flom this whole time, right? Assuming, of course, that she has been looking for grimoires from Flom for a long time, right? I'm assuming that because it was already happening, back when she was on the journey with Himmel and everyone, that she'd been doing it for a long time, right? It's not something that just started recently, So I don't know. It's interesting that she's been doing that for so long. What it seems like to me, kind of the vague sense I get of it. I don't really have much evidence to back up this like reading of their relationship. But just based off the one line in a few episodes ago when they set off on their journey to Oriol, right? Frieren casted the spell on the tree and walked inside. The book was already open to the page to lead them to Oriol, all that stuff, right? It seems like Flom knew Frieren and knew stuff about Frieren much more than Frieren herself like realized at the time, right? And I just mean in the sense of like in terms of having a close relationship with her, right? Like I think Flom understood a lot of things about Frieren and what she was going to start feeling, right? It certainly seemed like that based off, like every that one line, her saying that she knew Frieren would come back here one day, right? So it seems like to me that it's almost like Frieren is seeking answers from Flom still, right? That it's like this unresolved chapter of her past, that she hasn't really, So seeking these grimoires from her, for one, it's interesting because she always knows they're fake, but she gets them anyway, which is weird. I mean, like I guess symbolically I can understand that, right? There's still like connections to Flom in some sense, right? But it makes me wonder, like, beyond that, is Frieren looking for something specific that actually was written by Flom? I don't know. Who knows, right? But I don't know. It's very interesting, That said, when all you see are fakes, you start to doubt whether the genuine article ever existed at all. And that's very interesting because those lines apply to the way that she, like, could potentially start viewing Himmel and everyone else too, right? It's very sad, right? We get the scene later where Himmel says, we were never fairy tales, right? We aren't fairy tales. Because for Frieren in 1,000 years from now, right? Just like the way for her, I'm sure Flom is this distant memory 1,000 years ago that she hasn't had a real relationship with Flom for forever, And eventually Himmel and everyone else will be like that too, It's like when all you see are fakes, you start to doubt whether the genuine article ever existed at all. All she's been seeing are fakes of Himmel and everyone, right? These statues of them, right? And in 1,000 years from now, who knows, right? There won't be anything anymore. There could be no trace of him left in 1,000 years to remind her of him, to remind her that he was real. You know what I mean? And that's just like awful. I didn't even want to think about that. But the founder of humanity's magic is like a fairy tale herself. So I mean that certainly does explain why she is so famous, right? That she is the founder of humanity's magic. That's why her story. That's why she is stuck around, like in the psyche of humanity for so long. But Himmel, I don't know. Himmel has certainly made quite the mark on the world, but did he make as much as the person who invented magic? Maybe not. There's a hair in my mouth. God. I don't know. Man, probably not, right? Like in 1,000 years, it wouldn't surprise me if there is almost no trace of Himmel left, It's been long enough since then, yeah. I'm probably the only one who remembers her face. And it makes you wonder, is that part of her motivation for doing this too? The fact that she is like the last thing, the last trace of Flom still left in the world, really, is like a person. You know what I mean? And she woke up early. They're so shocked. Fern is like, man, she is so shocked. Probably Stark's doing the cooking. He's good at that, huh? Man, Stark has really been thrown into the thick of it, huh? Man, he better get used to it soon. Like a fairy tale. 28 years after the death of Himmel the Hero on Angrode, located in the Northern Lands. So we are in the Northern Lands now, indeed, which is very close to this recent conflict that's been going on with these demons. And the demons, oh man, I'm gonna have stuff to say about them. That is for sure. So be ready for that. So they're clearing out this road for them, of course. And of course, Frieren is I don't know. Frieren's being tsundere about like helping other people. Like I don't know. I don't believe her that she's only doing it for the reward. Honestly, she's doing it to follow in Himmel's footsteps. I think she's doing it because she knows this is what Himmel would have done. Right? You know what I mean? Like I don't believe her that it's just for the reward. Honestly. Hmm. The scars of battle, and the way he says that, it just makes me think. I wonder after the dragon encounter, what Stark's like position in the next battle we enter will be, right? And hey, it might be coming up real soon. We might be fighting these demons, right? Probably. I mean, I assume once Frieren starts having a crazy magic battle with this demon, he's down there to kill her. All hell might break loose, you know. So I mean, because it seems like if the demon's plot is I don't know revealed, then we gotta kill him. I assume. I assume they're just gonna be allowed to leave, right? So, and so Furren always calls him Stark Sama because I guess to be fair, she's always called everyone that, right? Like her entire life, she's been calling people Haiter Sama and Frieren Sama. You know, Stark, quit wasting time and help me already. Hurry up, man. Fern needs to get a grip. She needs to get better at this. I love this shot of Frierin's head. So, and we get the idea, of course, that Frierin's race as well, the elves, are like dying out, right? That they could be going extinct. Which is interesting. The last time she saw a fellow elf was more than 400 years ago, and she thinks about this burning village and this like swing. You know, it's a very haunting image. You know, but it's interesting because yet again we have brought up the idea of extinction and death with like Frieren, right? And yet again, it's this idea of what would Frieren herself think of the idea of dying one day? You know, it's something that has to seem so far off to her, and something that's been so far away from her whole life. But the idea of her entire of all elves going extinct, other than her potentially, right? For all we know, she's the youngest elf alive, right? Um, then like what? I mean, what would she think about it, right? I don't know. I don't know. It's so interesting because that has been a constant theme in the show in general is the idea of continuing on your life continuing after death through like memories people have on you, things that you did in the world living on, you know. It's like the, you know, that famous saying, right? It's like your final death doesn't really happen until the last person remembers you, right? Who dies, right? There's no one left who remembers you on Earth, you know. So I just wonder, I don't know, it just makes you think, what would Frieren think about that? In that sense, it's almost like a blessing to have a relationship with Frieren, right? Because people like Himmel and Flom are going to die in that sense for thousands and thousands of years if Frieren lives that long. You know what I mean? The Liberation Festival. Man, I like that's apparently a demon too. I don't if Lugner turns into that thing, then we're fucked. I don't know what we're gonna do, but man, hmm. More statues. Humans love to make a fuss, huh? They love to make festivals for everything. It is interesting, like because like of course they hold festivals for everything because not even just what he says about how like we want to continue the tradition beyond our lifespan, but like it's obviously their time is more like they have more motivation, I guess is the good way to say it. Humans have more motivation to make good use of their time and not become so complacent about wasting time like Frieren does because their lifespans are shorter, right? Like it just makes sense, right? It doesn't mean that literally Frieren's time is worth less and that humans' times are worth more, right? Like proportionally. Because there's nothing stopping Frieren from doing the same thing and making the most of every minute of every day, right? She just doesn't. She's just let herself become complacent in that sense, you know? Hmm. He got his statue yet again. I wonder why Himmel is the one seen as the leader, right? Like, I suppose, of course, in any party, there's going to be someone seen as, like, the leader of the party, right? But I don't know. It is interesting that he is the, it's always called Himmel the hero's party. You know what I mean? Everyone just walks out. So you won't be alone in the future. That is just so goddamn sad. No, it's so sad that Frieren has been surrounded by people like Himmel and like Flom who understood her and her feelings more than she understood herself, right? And, as literally just as I said that, it's making me think about the demons too, right? And the idea that we are dismissing that their potential humanity so much. I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get to the demons, right? But it's the idea that it's like Frieren herself is almost dismissing her own humanity, right? She's dismissing her own relationships with these people, and people around her are like recognizing that she's like wrong about that, right? Like Himmel saying this and Flom saying what she said to her all that time ago, right? Um, and Frieren is the one rejecting her own like that the importance of that to herself. You know what I mean? And with the demons, well, I don't know. The demons, it's an interesting case. There's obviously a connection between Frieren and the demons, right? Hmm. We're not fairy tales. We really existed. And there he is. Because for Frieren, it would be so easy for 1,000 years from now, The idea of Himmel just... Man, it's so sad to think about. Man. What a coincidence, huh? That she looks like that hero up there. How about 1,000, right? Well, I don't know. Because it is true, because in 1,000 years, who knows if the town will still be around, right? And it's interesting that Frieren asks that question, because, like, of course, that's her fear, right? Is the idea of relationships ending one day, right? Not even relationships ending one day, but the traces of people she cared about disappearing, right? It's almost like if the festival still isn't being held in 1,000 years, then in 1,000 years, then what was the point in the first place, Which, like, I disagree with that line of thinking because, like always, it's unrealistic to expect that. No relationship is going to literally last forever. It's impossible, right? Nothing like that is going to last forever. So even if it won't last for 1,000 years, that's okay, right? Like, hmm, heaven, off to heaven. 28 years after the death of Himmel the hero in Graf Granite's domain, located in the northern lands. And man, this is very clearly a war-torn area, right? We got like these, I mean, I don't know, it looked like defenses and all this shit, We got like double walls going on, triple walls, like in the middle. God damn, they are set up and ready. A lot more hubbub around here. A whole lot of guards and stuff, right? And we immediately see a demon. We sense a demon, and here they are, peace envoys, allegedly. And Frieren wants to immediately kill them. Okay, let's broach the subject, right? So what is up with demons? We were being told that habitually and through their nature, they are just evil, right? And that Frieren's stance on them is that they are completely irredeemable. And that that they're just evil. That they use speech only to deceive humans. It's impossible to communicate with them. All that, right? Okay. What this immediately reminds me of is Frieren herself, right? In the first episode, there were the moments where people were calling Frieren like heartless and all of this. I mean, it's happened even since then, right? The idea that because Frieren doesn't show her emotion too much, and because of her attitude towards relationships and stuff, which actually in her it comes from a place of not wanting to be hurt herself, right? That's where it comes from. It's not actually because she's cold in any sense. It's kind of the opposite, right? She's scared to make connections because of how intense those emotions can be, right? When it ends, like with Himmel. So she is someone who we know does have emotions, despite the way that she acts, right? That's kind of the point of her as a character, right? Is her discovering those emotions that she has for herself and recognizing them and finding meaning in them, right? So now we have these characters who we're being told are truly emotionless and have no feelings and just exist to deceive and are just heartless and, all of this, right? And Frieren certainly hates them for that, right? So for one, it's interesting that she recognizes that this makes demons like evil in her mind, right? Because of the connections that you could create between them, right? The idea that it's that them being pointless to communicate with and that being impossible, I assume, to form any kind of relationship with them means they're like evil, right? And I mean, I guess that's not what means they're evil, right? Because they also kill people, right? So I guess, that's what makes them evil in that sense, I suppose. But what makes them irredeemable is the inability to form a relationship with them, to truly communicate, right? Because that's kind of what a relationship is, right? So her having this extreme hatred for them in that sense kind of makes sense, because it's almost like if they are truly evil and irredeemable, then it's like they are like a literal representation of those problems that Frieren has had in her life, right? So her wanting to just kill them makes sense, right? But the question is it true that demons are actually like that? That it is impossible to communicate with them, that they can't form relationships, that human speech means nothing to them, and it's just a means to deceive, right? I really, it sounds stupid. It sounds dumb, right? But I like my comparison here, which is fucking Chat GPT, right? Because it actually makes sense, right? Chat GPT, when you type a question to Chat GPT, like there's people who have they have like a romantic relationship with Chat GPT, right? Like you see people who do crazy shit, they leave, they get a divorce because Chat GPT told them to, and they try and marry Chat GPT, right? ChatGPT convinces people just through speaking, just through generating strings of text. It's just a generative AI, right? It just predicts what the next best word to say in a sentence would be with a giant data set, right? There was no soul there. There's no consciousness. There's no, there's nothing that makes that a human. It doesn't know what it's saying. It doesn't know, it's purely just responds to input and gives you output that you interpret as like a human in some sense, right? And I guess it's not impossible for a biological creature like these demons to work like that as well, right? Like that isn't impossible. They could literally be like that, right? Um, like in the scene later when Lugner is in, or Lugner, I suppose, is in Graf Granite's son's room, and he looks around and he decides like what he should say, right? That's almost like him receiving the input and deciding what the best output to give would be to deceive his way out of the situation, right? And the words mean nothing to him, just like for fucking ChatGPT, the words don't mean anything, right? Like in ChatGPT's like system, right? The words are literally just tokens. They're just individual, like it's literally not putting together sentences in its mind or something, right? It doesn't know English. It just knows how to string words together, And demons could work like that too. The interesting thing to me with demons, we're just gonna fucking get it all out of the way here, I guess, is later when we get to the scene with Lugner and the pink-haired demon talking, they are able to communicate with each other, right? Not only are they able to communicate with each other, the pink-haired demon asks Lugner a question, which is incredibly important, I think, right? That shows that demons pass like the theory of mind, right? The theory of mind, if you don't know what that is, it's a really basic. I mean, I think you learn about it in like high school, right? It's like the realization in like your consciousness that other people are like conscious and have information that you don't have, right? Like an interesting example with this is like monkeys or like apes, chimpanzees that like people have taught sign language. We've done that a bunch of times, right? Chimpanzees and monkeys, they never ask questions, right? Like they can learn to like sign stuff, right? To like, get food, or like they learn what words mean to like, get something from like their caretakers, right? But they never ask questions because they don't have the realization that other people have information that they don't have, right? Like developmentally for like children too, it's like a developmental like checkpoint, right? Where there's like a test for it. It's like you tell a child a short story about how like someone places cookies on their bed. No, someone places cookies in a drawer in their room, and then they leave, and then someone who isn't them comes into their room and moves those cookies from their drawer to under their bed, right? And they ask the child like, and then when that first person comes back in to look for their cookies, where are they going to look for them, right? And if that child has passed this like developmental checkpoint, then they will know that that person won't know that those cookies are under their bed, and they're still going to look in the drawer, right? Because for them, because they now have an understanding that in that person's mind they have a different set of information than they have, right? And if they haven't passed that developmental checkpoint yet, then they'll say that like, oh, that they'll look under the bed because they know that the cookies are under the bed, right? I mean, it happens with children who are like really young, so like they probably won't be saying that. They'll just like point and stuff, But But no, but the sorry, we are kind of getting off track here. It's just so interesting to me. The important thing is that demons pass that test, right? The pink-haired demon asked Lugner a question, right? So that alone shows that language to demons is a means to communicate, right? Um, she wouldn't ask Lugner what is a father if language was just inputs and outputs to them and it meant nothing. There was no form of communication there, right? No, it has to, it absolutely does mean something to them, you know? So it literally, like, I don't know, Frieren is unfortunately just wrong, I think, on the idea that it is impossible to communicate with a demon, you know? It is, it clearly is. And they are able to form relationships, at least with each other, right? Like the pink-haired demon wouldn't have asked Lugner a question if it was impossible for them to form relationships, you know? Because then again, it's like she wouldn't believe him. She would, you know, like obviously her asking him that question shows like she probably trusts him in some sense, that she believes that he will give her the answer. You know, like there's a bunch of implications, like basic, like psychological implications behind that show that language has to be more in their brains than just a means to deceive humans, right? Now, that doesn't mean that these demons aren't evil. And that doesn't mean that almost all demons aren't evil, right? Like for all we know, in demon like society, they are raised to be like this, and they are, um, if demons have somehow evolved to prey on humans, and they do view humans as like prey animals or something, that's a really fucking strong instinct, you would assume, right? Like, just because in that sense they're capable of communication with each other, and that does mean that there's more to them than just literally being like soulless automatons who exist to deceive you. That doesn't mean you can ever like be friends with them or something, right? That doesn't mean that they are truly redeemable, I suppose, right? It just means that I think the way Frieren is viewing them is kind of inaccurate, I suppose, right? Um, I don't know, right? I don't know, it's really interesting. There's so many ways we could be going with it, right? The other reason I think it's important is because it would be so boring if our antagonists in the story are truly just soulless and have no redeeming qualities and are just evil, right? Like I don't like that doesn't really make any sense. That would be lame, right? If they are just evil and they don't, like that. I don't know. That wouldn't be a very good story. I feel like, So there has to be more to them, right? There we go. I feel like that's mostly gotten my stuff out. Okay, so Frieren is here. I got a message on Discord. Oh God. Okay, we're good. All right. Frieren tries to shoot them. She fails. They get her down. I wonder why Graf Granite even does that when, like, I guess it's probably dangerous. She was going to shoot a giant laser of magic, right? But he was planning on betraying Thugner anyway, so. But I guess Graf Granite probably also wants to be the one to do it, you know? There's bloodlust and those calm, cold eyes. You demons are wild beasts who imitate human speech but can't be communicated with. No, and it's weird because it's like I mean, maybe a less harsh version of that, you could say that some people probably think about Frieren, right? That she's so cold and that it's so hard to, like, get through to her, you know what I mean? And it's not true of her, right? That's certainly not true, right? And I guess I'm not saying that Lugner isn't evil, because he owned it, right? He said, yeah, I am evil, But it's possible he has a misconception of his own nature as well, you know what I mean? And I guess I don't mean that we should try and win them over with the power of friendship, right? Like, I don't know if that's possible, Hmm. And we throw Frieren in the dungeon. It'd only be 2 or 3 years. That's okay. She gotta reflect on her actions. Hmm. So Aura the Guillotine is here, who's one of the 7 sages of destruction who served the Demon King. Naturally, obviously, of course. Was, oh god, what was his name? I forgot his name. That was the guy that they fought in, like, episode 3, the Killing Magic episode. Was he also one of the 7 sages of destruction? I don't remember. She regained her powers 28 years ago, right after Himmel died, which is very interesting. And yeah, now I mean, I do certainly believe that these demons are here just with malicious intent, right? I'm not saying that just because I think Frieren might be wrong about their like essential nature, right? And also, I guess I'm just opposed to the idea of them having this essential evil nature in concept as well, right? I kind of mostly just because I think it would just be boring, right? Like I don't know, unless demons aren't that big of a part of the story. And maybe you know, I'm not a story writer, I guess, right? So it's possible that more interesting things could be done with it than I think, right? But if a villain is truly has no redeeming qualities and is just an evil maniac who exists to kill you and has no emotions, then that's just not very interesting, right? But I guess we'll see, right? Who know? My initial thoughts on that could prove to be wrong, right? Who knows, right? I'm not going to judge it until I see it. And yeah, and I mean, like, I don't buy what Stark says here that means just because they can talk that means you can resolve things by talking them out, right? They could be here to deceive, right? That also doesn't mean it's pointless to speak to them, right? They clearly, yeah, like there's an exchange of information going on when you speak to them, right? Like it means clearly, right, that there's more to them than just the way that Fruin says this, you know? So we get this story with this demon girl who is being manipulative, right? She killed their daughter, and she's saying all this stuff about how, you know, it hurts, so mom, please save me, blah, 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 just to try and manipulate them emotionally, right? Which is true, which is what she's doing, right? But the interesting thing here is later, she kills the chief and tries to give his daughter to that family, right? To make them happy, you know? Um, but my question is like, if she is just evil and just wanted to, you know, eat these people, why would she even be doing this, right? Why would she even be giving this daughter to them? You know what I mean? Like, what? I mean, why would she do that, right? You know what I mean? Like, um, because clearly, if she was truly just evil, I mean, unless you want to say this is just a further manipulation and she's just trying to get, you know, entrench herself even further into the village, but I don't know. To me, it just seems like they have a complete misunderstanding of humanity, I guess. I just don't know. I don't know what to make of it exactly. You know? Because if she was just evil, she would have killed them all, right? Why would she bring them a replacement for the daughter she ate? You know what I mean? It just seems like an extreme misunderstanding of all of this, more so than I don't know, like they're just evil, right? It's like a disregard, I suppose, for any of this. A complete, you know, a complete lack of understanding, you know? I don't know. I don't know. Hmm. And I guess that kind of furthers the connection to Fruin as well. The idea that they don't lack emotions. No, they do lack emotions, but it's not like they're malicious, really. They just lack the understanding of the emotions. You know what I mean? Emotions just mean nothing to them, right? That can certainly be possible, right? Which is a way you could like view Frieren in a sense. You know what I mean? Like obviously we know that's not true, but it like with the way that people called her like heartless and stuff. You know? Hmm. Flom, the legendary mage, defined monsters capable of speech as demons. They're descended from monsters who cried help. Yeah, just like the ghost monster in the woods, right? Who summoned the ghosts to deceive you, right? Hmm. Wild beasts who can't be communicated with, right? That's an accurate description. He owns it, which is interesting. But it's possible. But I mean, like, I don't know. Because Frieren does the same thing, right? Frieren does the same thing where she says that relationships like don't mean anything to her, right? Where she said all the time that oh, it was just a mere 10 years, you know, and all this stuff, right? Which is very hurtful things to say, and we know that that's just not true, right? Even if she's claiming that that's how it is for her, right? So, I mean, it's possible this is a much more extreme situation, but it's very possible that him saying here that we, oh yeah, we're just wild beasts who, you know, you can't communicate with us, that he's kind of doing the same thing that Frieren does, you know what I mean? And of course, he could very well be too far gone for any kind of real, you know, for any kind of redemption to be possible for him, right? That's very possible. But like by their nature, does that mean it's impossible for demons to ever, you know, be communicated with? I don't want to say that's true. You know what I mean? Hmm. This town won't be around much longer. So they come in here to so Graf Granite put a, you know, put up a trap here, I suppose. He was going to ceremonially kill them in his son's room when he died in battle with Or the Guillotine. And Lugner comes up with a perfect response, makes up some shit about his father. Right, it really is. It's the perfect response to keep from getting killed here, right? The perfect way to manipulate him, you know? Hmm. And we know he's being tricked, right? I don't believe for a second, right? And of course, this is the moment too, right? Lord Lugner, what is a father, right? Who knows? No, but it's interesting, right? Because he does know what a father is, right? He's really it's like he's playing it up. You know what I mean? Of course he knows what a father is, right? Like he wouldn't use that word if he didn't literally know what it meant, right? Like they are able to speak to each other in English, you know? He knows what the word empathetic means. You're going to tell me he doesn't know what father means? Like no, he does, right? It really is. It's like he's playing up his own evil nature, you know? I don't know. I don't know. Hmm. Again, not that I'm saying he's not evil, right? Because I believe he is. I just think there's it's very interesting, right? Hmm. And Drat comes down here to come kill Frieren, but I don't know if he's gonna have a very good very good luck with that. Because Frieren is apparently stronger than Aura the Guillotine herself. Stronger than Aura the Guillotine. Okay, that's it. This demon stuff is very, I don't know. I'm excited to see where this goes. I could be very wrong about a lot of stuff I said. I mean, who knows, right? It's too early for me to really say. Like, I guess we'll see, right? Who knows? But yeah, I guess that is it. Subscribe, please, if you enjoy my videos. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. And I will see you in the next one.